A foolproof way to create paste papers is to use methyl cellulose. You can purchase this on Amazon in £1 bags for about $20. I've included a couple links below. I actually really like this Elmer's art paste, which is simply methyl cellulose packaged as paper mache art paste. So both of these work really well, and I think they are a foolproof way to creating great paste papers every time. Let me show you how I mix it up. I take a 1/4 cup of the methyl cellulose powder. If you work in metric, that is about 15 grams, or if you also want to weigh it, it's 1/2 ounce. So, and I generally weigh it on a postage scale. So this is 1/2 ounce or 15 grams of the methyl cellulose powder. Then I get a big plastic bucket and a whisk. Don't use any of these implements again for food, by the way. So get your bucket. Here's my 1/4 cup or 1/2 ounce of paste. And to that, I'm going to add 4 cups of water or 1 litre. I just use tap water. Feel free to use distilled if you have very chemically tap water. Take your whisk and whisk it up. There will be a lot of lumps at first, but just keep whisking. And you'll get kind of foamy. Keep whisking till you cannot see any powder on the bottom. Now this is very thin. You may be thinking that's not going to work for paste paper. You need to leave it for 15 minutes, and when we come back in 15 minutes, I will show you how it looks. Here is the batch of methyl cellulose after 15 minutes. It's getting nice and thick. If you would like it to be even thicker, you can leave it longer than 15 minutes. Let me show you a batch that I made yesterday. So this is about 24 hours old. That's that thick. To be honest, that is too thick for me, so I will be loosening it up with some water. But that's how it is after 24 hours. Now, one of the benefits of methyl cellulose is that it doesn't go bad and it doesn't need to be kept in the fridge. So this can be left on the counter for months and months and months, or in the closet, and it will never go bad. So I am going to work with this 15-minute batch because I like the way it looks. I like to put them in these old recycled deli containers just because they have a lid, and that means I can store them. Put some, just a little bit in here. Now there is one optional step, which is to add a couple drops of glycerin into the paste before you add the paint. The only thing that this does is add a very, very subtle sheen to your papers, and it makes them feel smoother. So generally paste papers can feel a little rough when you touch them, when you run your fingers across them. So adding the glycerin makes them a little bit smoother, but it's optional. And I got this on Amazon. So I'm just going to put a few drops. That was probably like a 1/2 teaspoon in there. I like to mix them up with old chopsticks. And now I'm going to add some acrylic paint. You can use any brand of acrylic paint that you like. The more expensive acrylic paints, like the Goldens, that have more pigment in them, will require less paint. So if you use a cheaper paint, it's perfectly fine. You'll just need more of that paint to get the color that you want. If you use the more expensive ones, you're going to use less paint. So it's entirely up to you. I like this green gold. I'm going to put in a few drops to start with, see how I like the color, because I can always add more. I'll test that on a piece of paper, and then I can always make it darker if I want to. When I'm setting up my workspace for paste papers, I like to use a piece of plexiglass to protect my table, and it also makes it easier for the damp paper to stick to the plexiglass. while I'm creating my patterns. This is a piece of 9 by 12 sulfite paper and an 80-pound weight. Just spritz it with a little bit of water, front and back. You could also use a sponge to dampen it if you wanted to. I just rub the paper onto the plexiglass, making sure that there's no air bubbles. That's one thing that can be really annoying. If you do see air bubbles, just spritz the plexiglass to help it lay flat. I like to use a bristle brush to apply my paste, but you could, sponge brushes are also really good, the black sponge brushes. So let's see what this colour looks like. Ooh, it's nice and light, I like it. Put an even layer of paste. If you get air bubbles, just lift up your paper. This is just a single colour. Remember, you can mix colours. And I'm just going to use that chopstick that I used to mix my paste with to create some interesting lines. I'm wiping off the excess onto a damp rag. Carefully lift off your paper and lay it somewhere flat to dry. So I think I would like this a little darker, so I'm going to add more paint. Just mix it up with the brush. Let's see how that looks. I think I may mix in some of this orange that I had made yesterday. I like those way those two colours look together. Get rid of these air bubbles, and I'm going to go straight back to this chopstick and create one of my favourite patterns, which is this. There's another finished paper. So I hope you enjoy working with methyl cellulose. If you have any questions, please pop them down below and come back next week. I'll be showing you 3 of my favourite recycled tools to create paste paper patterns.